Hello, Matthew. Please, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, my name is Matthew Ninaber. I am an actor-director. I've been working as an actor in various films. Most recent one was Psycho Goreman, which I learned a lot about monsters. And now I took all what I learned there and made a movie called Death Valley, which is kind of a monster horror action film.
After last run, Extraction Day, Transference, Escape to the Dark, Death Valley is your new movie. Please, can you talk us a little about the origin of this one?
So Death Valley, a lot of it came from I wanted to make an action film, and after being on PG, I really wanted to make a monster film. So I decided to take kind of the two of them, merge them together, and I was playing with the idea. I didn't know when I was going to do it, but then the pandemic hit, and there was no acting, there was no jobs, everything. I was kind of unemployed, and then I'm like, I don't know how long this pandemic's gonna last. I might as well make a movie while we're here. So with 12 other friends and cast and crew, we just set out to make ourselves a monster movie, and
Yeah.
the rest is kind of history.
In a few words, please, can you talk a little about the main plot of this film?
The main plot of this film, it follows two mercenaries who get called to do a rescue mission, and upon arrival into this valley, every step they take, things just get worse and worse and worse. And once they enter the facility, they kind of feel like they're home free, and things just turn on their head even more. It's a funny movie, it's an adventure movie, it's a horror movie, it's a mashup of a lot of things that I truly love as a filmmaker, all wrapped up into a 90-minute adventure.
So what were your main sources of inspiration? Some movies, some books, some series, maybe?
Yeah, so I had a lot of inspiration. I wanted to kind of make a Bad Boys meets Alien Covenant meets Overlord meets Resident Evil, with a little bit of a Hacksaw Ridge in there.
Yes.
And I kind of borrowed a little bit, and with a thing, I kind of borrowed a little bit from each of those films, and I wanted the banter, like the buddy cop vibe, but I wanted to have the action scenes of like Hacksaw Ridge, and then I wanted obviously the monster scares and the atmosphere of Alien and the Thing, and that's kind of like how I approached the movie, taking some of my favorite parts of those films and trying to find a way to make my own spin of it.
What can you tell us about the main cast of your movie? Jeremy Ninaber, Ethan Michael, and Kristen Kaster.
So Jeremy, Kristen, Ethan are amazing. They are so much fun to work with. We filmed this movie on weekends, and every weekend was just a blast hanging out with them. I would say Kristen is just such a delight. She did not know what she was getting into. I think if she knew what she was getting into, I don't know if she would sign up, because she was just covered in blood almost every single day on set, head to toe. And that stuff is sticky. It just like it gets to a place that you can't even move. And Jeremy was more than just an actor. He helped me build all the sets. Like Monday to Friday, we build the sets for the movie, and then on the weekend we'd film. And he would just be there like till 3 a.m, helping me paint, and on top of that, learning his lines. And he's such a trooper. He also did all the choreography for the film. So all the fight scenes in the movie, he sat down and did the choreography for. And then Ethan is just who he is on screen is who he is off screen. He's a great, loving guy who's just. These guys, they're so much fun to work with, and all of them have been acting and just working on the craft, and we've just kind of known each other over the years. And once the pandemic hit, I was like, "Do you guys want to make a movie?" And they were all in. So,
Psycho Goreman was an excellent surprise, and as an actor, you bring this character real soul. You play the monster in this movie also. What do you like so much to play a monster?
I think monsters are fun. I like anything with a mask. I like that you can just kind of create your own person. Like these guys are kind of like, this is the one head. It's like
Nice.
these are I don't know. I look at them as like extensions of myself. I got PG over here. Like I love these guys. You get to be a different version of you, and I think that's my favorite part of playing these monsters is you just I don't even know what the word is. You get to explore a different way of acting that you would not be able to do with any other character. Like I don't get to roar at somebody. You get to go into more primitive, zone. So I love monster work. I think it's so much fun. Getting the suit is horrible, and that part I don't like. And the long hours of being in the suit, but when you actually get to see yourself move and you get to create those characters, there's it's very special, and it gives me an appreciation for some of the movies I watch, like Hellboy, Pan's Labyrinth, where you see these monster creatures, and you're like, man, the time they sat in the suit to make that performance come true. So it makes me appreciate those films more, and yeah, there's not a lot of people that do it, so there's a little bit of like, I don't know, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I really like the action scenes in this movie and the aim too. Watch it as we think a little about the excellent world of Resident Evil, of course. Do you like
Yeah.
video games to play with?
So I'm a huge gamer. I grew up on playing Halo, Gears of War. I really wanted to have that feel of those early video games in this movie. The way the characters work, it's very much they get more guns as they level up, and they get better guns as they level up, and so it is structured kind of like a video game, and chapters, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So yeah, there's a lot of references to video games in this movie, and there's another game called Fear, which terrified me as a kid when I first played it. I was like, this is terrifying. I'm like, I want to bring some of those elements into my movies because I thought these games were so great. So in short, yes, huge gamer, still play, and yeah.
What can you tell us about the filming locations?
So the filming locations, I kind of worked backwards for this movie. I kind of drew a circle on a map where I lived. I'm like, what do I have access to? And all the interior scenes are filmed in my brother's garage. So we would build the set Monday to Friday. We'd film on the weekend. I would take a break on Monday, tear it all down Tuesday, and then start building again. And so all the tunnels, the only tunnel that we didn't do is like the big opening tunnel of the at the beginning of the movie. That was actually filmed in Ottawa because we actually have a fallout bunker here called the Defen bunker, and so that was the only like location that we rented. Outside of that, it was all friends, families, backyards, and just really finding locations that worked, and then building the rest. Like, I learned so much from building sets, and I sat down, I watched behind the scenes of all the Alien movies and how they built the sets for those, and then started watching as much behind the scenes just to get ideas on how to build a set, because this was like, again, everything I'm doing, I'm just learning from scratch. I'm like, okay, let's get into this, and yeah, so yeah.
Good. What was the most difficult scene for you to shoot in this movie and why?
The tunnel, the corridors were actually
Yeah.
really difficult, because again, in my naivety, I didn't I didn't build it originally so you could open it up. I was just like, oh, you get the camera in there. But then I realized as soon as you got the camera in the corridors and those little tunnels, I'm like, this doesn't work. So it was a good learning experience for me of like redesigning the set and making it that it was all modular. Everything was hinged so you could open it up. But the actors, they were like in so much pain because they'd have to crawl through, and they're like, all right, we do it again, and then have to crawl backwards. And then you don't think it's a big thing, but being on your hands and knees and crawling through those, like everyone was getting bruised. And I remember the lead, Kristen, she actually, it's the only time I've ever seen her angry, and she was angry. She was like, I don't know what I'm doing in the corridors. And it was a good bonding moment. We all became like a tight family. But I thought those scenes would be a lot easier to film than, because again, it's just like a little tunnel, and I thought other scenes would be harder, but it was actually the corridors that I struggled with the most. So
Which are for you the main keys to create a good horror movie as this one? The screenplay, the actors?
oh, it is, man, if one of them are not good, then the rest of it fails. If we didn't have a good monster, it would have been game over. If we didn't have good sets, game over. If the actors didn't put in what they did. So it's just like, I look at it such a, whatever, the thing that's most important is the thing that's the worst at the time. Going into this movie, sets I knew were going to be so important, and that was going to be that's the weakest part for me, is because I had no experience building sets. So a cool little thing, a cool fact is, from the movie Psycho Goreman that I worked on, they're throwing the set out, and I said, "Can I have the set?" And so I went, got a U-Haul, picked up the whole thing, and kind of just looked at all the pieces and trying to reverse engineer how they were building stuff. And then from there, use that as the backbone for most of this movie. So that was a huge help of just like, taking other people's garbage and then repainting it and just learning how to texture different things to make it look different. So that for me was a really big growing spot. As I was writing the film, I was doing Zoom rehearsals with the actors because I had this gift that nobody was doing anything. So the idea of hanging out and working on a movie for people who were locked in their houses because of the pandemic was so exciting to them. And so I really got I got to play jokes, and I kept on writing jokes for Ethan's character, and we had to cut out most of his jokes just because of time, just because like we gotta get this movie going. But I think the gift I was given is that there was nothing else to work. There was nothing else taking my time. So I was able to build all the sets, be able to shoot it, be able to edit it, be able to like cut it all together and do everything just because of the time that we're coming through. So
what can you tell us about the special effect of this movie?
special effects of this movie.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, everything is practical. Very, very proud of that. Again, I'm not a digital artist, and the idea was I was doing everything myself. So I'm like, it's going to look best if it's in camera. So we learned a lot. The explosions outside, those were so much fun to do. And not that somebody should do this, but I found out that if you took really hot wax and then if you dropped a cold water balloon in it, it gives a mushroom cloud effect. So we're able to do what they're called wax bombs, and by the time it lands on you, again, I'm not telling anyone to do this. I'm just telling you what I learned myself. Is that by the time it landed on you, it's dry. So our guys would be running through these explosions with water balloons dropping down and blowing up around them. By the time it landed on them, they're just like, oh, it's all this dry wax. But it looked so good, and for the most part, it was really safe. And then there was other scenes that it was just a spray bottle, a match, and gasoline, and me just going just to do things. So that's how we did a lot of the outside scenes. And then the flamethrower, that's a real flamethrower. There's like we just hosed the set down before we used it, cleared everybody out, and that's just my little brother and me in in the room. I'm filming. He's using the flamethrower, having the time of his life, and I'm like, if anyone gets hurt, it's just you and me in here. So we'll figure it out. And so yeah, everything is done practically, which it just sometimes it made us go a little bit slower, but I think that's why it feels so good, and I'm very proud of that.
Your music is very important also in a movie. Please can you talk a little about your collaboration with the composer Costley?
Yeah. So Sean he actually had Kevin and Tony come along, and what is amazing is that they had 2 weeks to compose this soundtrack. So we divided the movie up, and I just talked emotionally what I wanted to be happening, and Sean just really led the charge of dividing, like, hey, Kevin's going to take this, Tony's going to take this. Tony wrote that amazing guitar lick for the end credit scene that I just love. I want to make a movie just with his electric guitar someday, because I'm just like, it's just so much fun. But those guys didn't sleep. They just powered out the music so fast, and like I owe so much to them because they really did a great job. And we picked sound design. We're like, we want this instrument, we want this sound for any strings, we want this sound for the creaky, so that even though it's 3 composers, there is a fairly consistent sound through the whole thing. And then what I loved is that, once they kind of came up with sounds for the monster, sounds for Chloe, sounds for this character, so that you have like these little motives that were coming through each time. And again, bringing some like the Nephilim angelic stuff into it, you have some of that score would elevate those things. So they did a really great job. I'm very proud and loved working with them. Just fantastic composers. So
what did you learn and retain from this movie?
Well, for this movie, I didn't realize how big of a movie I was making.
Yeah.
If you told me how big it was going to be before I started, I don't think it was possible. Like there's a lot of was very naive. And when I gave the scripts to producers, they're like, "You can't do this." I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, you can do this." I think like now I know it's possible. I'm like I've kind of like what else is possible, and I think with more planning and just really just crunching the problems, you can really make a cool movie. But it takes a lot of time and dedication, and I really want to up it. Like I want to see where we can go from there. So for me, it's like what did I learn is that it's possible. It's like I can make something that looks really cool that with fun characters, and I just got to put the work in. So for me, it's just like for the next film, I'm putting the work in. I have this thing that when I write, I don't shave, so it just kind of grows out this like this beard, and hopefully it doesn't get too long because I'm really, this movie has motivated me because I'm very proud of what we did with a very small team, filming in my backyard, filming in my brother's garage. I'm like, what else can we do? Where we can go from here? So I think, yeah, it's just it took a bunch of weekends to do this, but the biggest thing I say to filmmakers is just like, you don't remember what you did with your weekend, but you'll remember if you made a movie. And that's really what we did during this pandemic, is that we seized the day and made a movie, and I'm very happy with that. And I want to keep this energy going and get into the next one.
Do you have some actors that you would like to work with?
Oh, do I have actors? I have so many people I would love to work with. Oh my goodness. Like where do you go? I got to meet Hugh Jackman one day. I got to spend some time with him. I'm just like, if I could have him in a movie, Idris Elba, like there's just so many cool actors out there that I can't even fathom working with them. Like I feel like there's just such a gap between working with them and then what I'm doing. But I really hope that one day my storytelling skills and what I'm able to do and what I'm able to bring to the cinemas is warranted an actor of that caliber. And yeah, I just gotta keep pounding out my craft and getting better. So.
And my last question: which are your current projects?
Current project?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm working on two more monster movies, and so right now I'm just in the script writing phase, and then I have two other I have a sci-fi time travel movie, and then I have a monster hunter movie that I'm working on. So I want to do more stuff in the monster stuff, and then I have one project that's a little bit more thriller, kind of space ghost feeling vibe that I'm working on. That is it's really just whatever one I can get people excited about the most, because I love them all, and it's just like whatever people like say, hey, do that one, then I'm like, cool, I'm in. So right now it's just write, make a great script and learn from my last one, and yeah, more monster stuff for sure.
Thank you, Matthew. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Thank you, Boris. All right, bye.
Thank you both.
Bye bye.
Bye.